You got some cool little like horror intro, John?
Welcome to Movie Boovie.
I like that movie. That's a nice ring to it.
Yeah. Episode 89.
Welcome.
We always say that like it has some significance. Here we are, folks. Episode 89.
It is significant in the sense that we actually made it to the next number.
Yeah, man.
We've always appreciated the actual progress of the show.
Definitely.
The fact that we have continually been putting episodes out is a positive thing.
And as you pointed out in your early episodes, when you guys chose to call that one 001 and not 01, that was the promise of 3 digits.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we're now 11
We're
episodes
so
away.
close.
We're so close.
That third digit is, I can just see it right over there in the
know.
corner. It's just like winking at me.
It's right in the horizon.
Is it luring me in? We're almost there, guys.
Almost
Crazy.
there. But right now we have a little bit of business that's seasonally appropriate to deal with. It's our Halloween spooky episode.
It's very spooky.
I know I know the first time you guys did it, I think you may have just done favorite horror films.
Yeah.
And then the second time you did it, which was I was on board, and we did scariest moments.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were trying to think of something a little different to do, and I suggested that we do the horror movie heroes, the good guys in horror movies, or protagonists. So what did that mean to you, Ronald? Horror movie heroes.
Well, I mean, the person that doesn't necessarily survive in the end, but puts up a fight. You know, that's what I love. I love, even if somebody doesn't survive, I like the idea that there is somebody that comes out of the woodwork and tries to kick the ass of the person or outsmart them. And sometimes I prefer outsmarting over just beating them up, because a lot of the times the villains are normally so strong, or so their ability is so ridiculous that they have to find some way to defeat them that's a little outside the box, rather than just hit them over the head with a hatchet. So yeah, that's the hero to me.
I know that you love horror films the same way that I do, Steve, that you spend a lot of time watching even the ones you know aren't going to be that good, just because you have to scratch that itch
It's a check mark.
with horror movies.
I actually came up with this list pretty easily. I think that I want to say this conversation, and when if memory serves, like you kind of brought this up right around like when like your next came out, because there's a female lead in that like I was definitely thinking about it at that point, and you had mentioned this as an idea. So when I saw that movie, I'd already started to think about this list. So it's kind of like I kind of was ahead of it a little bit until when we decided to actually do it. I already had a solid 4 or 5 characters in mind. I tried to go through and pick different, not completely different types, because I think that some of them kind of fit a mold in some ways. But even with that mold being there, there's characters that offered something different in each situation that they were in. Whether it was a physical asset or a mental game that they were able to play. But yeah, I mean, I think actually of our list shows that we've done, because it's something that I feel very strongly about, and I have a quite a bit of exposure to. This is a list that I was pretty happy to come up with and not stress out about.
Why don't you start us off?
Really, John?
Steve, I think it's your turn.
You're going to throw it to me first?
I think it's your turn to go first.
Well, in the essence of going first, I will have to say that my first pick was probably the first final girl to ever kind of create the mold that many that came after her would fill. And that would be Laurie Strode from Halloween, famously played by Jamie Lee Curtis in 3 of the Halloween films. Basically, everything about this character is what created every, I don't want to say every rule almost that a lot of slasher films followed in the ones that came after it. The clean cut, the virgin, the babysitter, just the all around nice girl who just is in the wrong place at the wrong time, who manages to survive. She doesn't really beat the villain or the monster or the killer. She just manages to outlast his reign in that moment. And in the films that she appears in after the original, which are obviously way worse and very, her roles in them are nowhere near as good as the first Halloween. I think Halloween actually is probably one of my all-time favorite horror films, hands down. But Laurie Strode is just I don't know. She's just a goody two shoe who just kind of outlasted Michael Myers, and I think the biggest flaw of her character in the series is just how they killed her, which I hate it. It has nothing to do with the original movie, so I'm just not even going to get too far into it.
Yeah, it's not really a spoiler for the first film to say that they brought her back a couple of times, and one time was much later. I think that's what you're referring to.
Yeah. I think she's actually, now that I think of it, I think she's in four of them. Yeah. So it's 1, 2,
I hate that I know that. but
H2O.
Yeah, 1, 2, H2O, and
Horrific.
Resurrection, and the Resurrection is just.
It's almost like she's a cameo in that.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's horrible. But I don't even want to count that. That's why I said 3 earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. Laurie Strode, she's just one of my favorite heroes in a horror film, and I don't know, just something I remember when I saw Halloween for the first time, even in the context of already loving horror movies, and it not being like my first exposure to that character that she pretty much created, that John Carpenter created with Jamie Lee Curtis in that film. My first time seeing it, it was just the experience that everyone had told me about, just how innocent she was, and how cute she was, and how surrounded by every element that basically put you in line to be killed in a horror
I always had a
movie.
thing for Annie.
Yeah,
Yeah. Little short, saucy brunette, but yes.
Who shouldn't have went to the laundry room.
Should not have gone to the laundry, but she looked cute in that man's shirt.
She absolutely did. But yeah, Laurie Strode, my number one. Or not my number one. My first, because, just seemed right.
Well, she is kind of the
Just felt
original
right.
final girl, and I think that's a thing that people have started saying in the last few years, kind of post Scream. I think when everyone became so aware of the formula. But you're right, at the time this movie came out, I think it was maybe an interesting choice to say the person we're going to follow is kind of the person who wants the least to do with any of this stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And it actually segues into my pick, which is, you were talking about different categories. I actually did come up with a category I called outmatched but improvising, which is like the Laurie Strode character.
Sure.
Like, at no point does she become a badass.
Sure, no way.
But she's always kind of struggling against it. So I thought in terms of those categories too. And my first category that I'll go to that actually dovetails perfectly with yours is a category I call the expert.
Okay.
This is the character who, there's this greater evil that's going on, but this character comes into play, and sometimes they just kind of roll into town. Sometimes you have to go get them. But they know. Ronald, you were talking about recently. We were talking about movies about when someone goes and finds the librarian. In these movies, librarians always know a lot. But sometimes the guy who knows everything is not a librarian. He's a psychiatrist who maybe has an attachment to the killer in a horror film, who rolls into town and has known him since he was a little boy, and knows that this little boy who never spoke. It's not that he was unable to speak or that he had some kind of mental impairment, but that he was pure evil. And I'm talking, of course, about Dr. Samuel Loomis, played by Donald Pleasance in, I believe, I have to go to this list because he's in Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, and Halloween 6, essentially, The Curse of Michael Myers. Now, anyone who's seen those films knows that they kind of get gradually worse. Yeah. There is still something scary about Michael Myers in the mask, in the dark, that a lot of those movies, you can't help but have a few scary scenes in them. But Donald Pleasance was, he was an actor that made like real movies in the 60s and 70s leading up to being in Halloween, and it was very much like Alec Guinness playing Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars. It was like, here's a sort of respected British actor kind of dignifying this B-movie material.
Sure.
But I think the way he was used in the first film is just perfect. He conveys just the right element of knowing what's going on. He can fill in the exposition, but he's got this tortured past that he just kind of hints at through his feeling that he failed Michael in some way by not being able to cure him or help him. But even though he says he knew early on that he could tell that, even when he was just a little boy, that the most you could do for society was just to keep this guy locked up forever, that he was never going to be any good. And I just think there's something so interesting about that, and that extra bit of regret that's kind of piled on top of, like, he wasn't able to stop him, he wasn't able to keep him contained, and now he's hurting all these people. It kind of makes Loomis seem like the angel of death after a while, that every time, he rolls into town, he knows everything, but he's also like, it seems like his buddy Michael Myers is killing everybody once again. So, I wouldn't be able to point to any of those later films as performances you should check out, but particularly in the Halloween from 1978, which sounds like, Steve, you feel the same way. I just think
Absolutely.
It's every time I think maybe it doesn't hold up or it's not going to hold up, I see it again, and it's the most elegant, creepy piece of filmmaking that I can think of in a lot of ways.
And actually, I had that character on my. He didn't make the cut, but
Yeah.
you can't not consider Dr. Loomis.
Yes.
Great pick.
The expert.
Cool. Mine is so I saw this movie when I was a kid and it terrified me. But then I watched it recently because of the movie that was supposed to not be a prequel. It may have been a prequel. And I realized that not only was she a horror hero, but she was also acting her ass off. And that's Ripley, Sigourney Weaver in 1979's Alien. There's something about horror gets a bad rap a lot of the times in terms of like acting and stuff like that. And Ridley Scott took this movie incredibly seriously. It's a beautiful movie shot by shot, but there's something about somebody being put in the position that she was put in and reacting the way that she is. I mean, you could tell that she's in shape, she's beautiful, she has a really strong personality, but to see how she reacts to it, she has to run sometimes, she has to hide sometimes, she has to fight sometimes, and seeing a character kind of go through those stages in front of your very eyes and having it done in a way that isn't boring. It didn't feel, it didn't feel cliche, and it's now, which is crazy to think about. All those horror films that have come after it involving aliens and stuff like that, to have this feel still original, and I've seen a shit ton of movies like that. It's one of my favorites still.
It's one of my favorite movies, period.
It's so good.
and I'm so glad you picked her, because that means that now there's now
I'm going to echo that.
Yeah.
I had her on my list.
And I have another female, which
well,
is
that's good. That's good. It's good to have a mix.
Now we both get audibles.
It's not a total horror sausage party tonight.
Right.
But no, but I think the reason I like that character, it's another kind of category that I found that a lot of these people fall into, which is different from the outmatched but improvising person. It's the reluctant badass. It's the person who reluctantly becomes a person of action.
Yeah.
And what I really thought was interesting about her in that I kept thinking about was that if you watch that movie from the beginning, I mean, what makes that movie so special in a lot of ways is how naturalistic the actors are, and the performances are, and the world is. And that if you just saw that movie and you didn't have the weight of history of knowing that Ripley character became so iconic, you wouldn't necessarily know that she was going to be the person to carry the day at the end of the film. I mean, she's almost like not even that strong of a personality who gradually gets stronger across the film. So I think that, it's almost like you take for granted that Sigourney Weaver is great in that. But if you go back and look at what she's doing, the way that she's playing this sort of softness and this sort of, not quite deer in the headlights, but definitely a person who's sort of ill-prepared for what's about to happen. And then when it happens, though, she's just, we just recently talked about Gravity. It's another character who's just talking about it's survival every step of the way. So yeah, great choice.
Yeah, I think that I think the good thing about that role is that it starts out as really like one of the weaker characters in the movie that really you don't think has anything to prove. And I mean, it's not even the lead actor in the film. You'd probably watching that, like you just said, without the preconceived notion of who that becomes.
You would latch on to Tom Skerritt.
Exactly. Dallas is the lead of that film, which is a nice. It kind of throws you for a loop the first time you see it and see that character kind of evolve into that. And to be the sole survivor and the scene in the escape pod at the end is just like one of the more tense scenes I can remember watching when I was younger.
Yeah.
But great Ripley. And the good thing about Alien, I think it's good that you mentioned Alien versus Aliens, because Alien is, I think, more straight up like I feel like it's more of a horror film.
Yeah,
it's like a slasher film in space.
Well, I've heard people say it's like it's like a haunted house film in space.
Yeah, and it's in Alien, she is that badass, and it's more sci-fi action and everything. But Alien itself is just it's a great horror film.
I mean, it's cool that they evolved that character and that they did different things with each subsequent movie. But I go back to the first one again and again as one of my favorite movies, and the other ones I'm a fan of, but I don't hold them in the same esteem that I do Alien.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. My next pick is another female. This is probably the evolution from Laurie Strode, and you mentioned it, John, but it's from the film Scream. And it's Sidney Prescott.
I knew you were going to pick that.
Scream is I'll say beyond horror films, Scream is one of my favorite movies of all time. A movie that just came along and like kind of postmodernizes the entire slasher genre and its awareness of what those rules were that a character like Laurie Strode created. Sidney is somebody who is smart, likable, very mature in terms of the characters that she's around in perspective. Somebody that when the reveal happens at the end of the film, is completely blindsided by it. But what we experience with her through the film, the plot, the script, doesn't make her dumb. So that when that happens, you can say, oh, you should have seen that coming. Because no one really, I mean, a lot of people, the first time you saw Scream, many people did not predict that ending or the twist.
Yeah.
And she's set up to be the last one standing, and you wonder when she starts breaking these rules, these decisions that she makes, while some of them are really bad, and losing her virginity and things like that, you're wondering, oh, well, maybe she's not the one that will survive. Especially the way that film sets up the opening with Drew Barrymore's character being killed off so quickly. That just makes that film so self-aware and makes us aware of how it might be changing things.
Yeah.
And I think that the way she plays that character and the way that character kind of goes to that film just fits the bill perfectly in a film that's so aware of trying to turn all of those rules on its ear. And, even being around for all the sequels, which, I mean, again, not really progressing in any way, but just becoming very smart. This is something beyond Laurie Strode, and not just surviving it. It's just kind of trying to figure out how to outsmart them, even though that reveal kind of takes her by surprise so much. It doesn't stop her, and she does find a way to outsmart them in a way. And Sidney Prescott, is great horror hero in my eyes.
I would piggyback on that just to add another character that was an also ran for me, but since you're bringing up Scream, Randy Meeks, the character played by Jamie Kennedy, is a great expert, and I think that it's hard to remember now how fresh that movie was when it first came out. Yeah. That kind of awareness about the horror movie. He was tempting to put him on there just because he does seem like he kind of conveys that whole thing of here's the guy who kind of knows the rules. Mm-hmm. It was the first time you'd heard that expressed in a movie. But yeah, I think Scream, I don't think you can do that again. I think that people have made enough kind of sincere slasher films since then that the comments it makes about the genre are still sort of valid. I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but I bet it holds up.
I may be a little biased, but I watch that movie regularly, and I've never watched it and felt that it didn't. I think the big thing about it was that it surprised a lot of people, and I think in the end, it became a horror movie that was really for people that were smarter than the genre had become.
Yeah.
And while it spawned tons of spin-offs that were way horrible, and it kind of revitalized the whole genre in a way, that being the film it was, and the character just basically breaking all the rules.
Yeah.
Was just, I thought, a pretty incredible thing, and it was awesome to experience.
Anything after 90s horror is a pretty big feat. Like the early late 80s, early 90s stuff. Like anything that you attempt to do after that point is really hard to follow up. Like that stuff was amazing, like Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers, and to have something after that, post that stuff, and have it kind of hold up, and you see that mask now, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's that thing, man.
Mask,
that Ghostface mask. It's something pretty amazing about that sort of, I don't know, it's like it's gonna last forever. You're always gonna see that mask.
They were very consciously creating something that sort of stood alongside all the big slasher film heroes. The slasher film movie monsters, whatever you want to call those. Yeah. They were adding Ghostface to the list.
And he
Michael
had a voice,
Myers,
which was
and
really
Freddy
cool.
Krueger and Jason Voorhees and all those characters. So in that sense, it was both very deliberate and kind of spoofing it at the same time. And I think that it somehow managed to sidestep. The jokes didn't take away the brutality of what happened to people in that. And I think, another thing that movie has going for it is that gut punch at the beginning of Drew Barrymore being the biggest name in the movie.
Yeah.
And no indication from the trailers that she wasn't at least a big star of the movie.
Yeah. Genius marketing. She was the poster for that movie.
Yeah.
Like her, and then it had everybody else that was in it. Skeet Ulrich, Neve Campbell, Rose McGowan, they were all trailed off and her name is top billing. And you're like, oh, sweet. The film rolls, you're like, oh, Drew Barrymore, wow. And it's like, holy shit. What? I don't know. I guess that does the rules. They're just out the window.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's only a handful of movies I'd say in the 90s in my high school years, that I would say I saw in theaters more than 5 times. And there's probably 3 or 4 movies, and Scream is definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love Scream. One of my all-time favorites.
And, Liv Schreiber, Henry Winkler, It's got a great like supporting cast.
Yeah, why not?
You know, I remember at the time when I saw that, just thinking that I don't know, they did a good job of setting up a mystery of who it could be.
Oh yeah.
And I think that was the other thing that's kind of hard to remember is that was an element in a lot of slasher films in the 80s. There was, like, nowadays we think of the undead killer and that they just, all they have to do is bring him back. But back in the day, like, there's all these horror films, like the original My Bloody Valentine. There's one called The Prowler, Maniac, the original Maniac. There's a lot of these films where they were each their own little kind of genre experiment, and frequently it was a mystery to, you know, and you would gradually tell, as you often can, by who's getting picked off. Well, it can't be that guy, it can't be that guy, it can't be that guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think that. Did you guys both see Scream 4?
I did.
Yeah.
I even thought it had some.
I thought
moments.
it was pretty solid, man.
Like there was a vein of viciousness going through it that made some of those kills there was just like there was a kind of meanness to it that kept it from seeming too sanitized. You know?
I really like movies where like people fall off. Like it's like this person does. I love that about that movie. I thought it was pretty solid. Like
I like Scream 4. I think I don't know. I think I
you
just
wanted more from it.
I guess I wanted more like of a. I guess I don't want to say closure, but I really wanted them to really kind of try to brutally end that series, and I think they kind of
pussyfooted around that.
Yeah, like in the end. I mean, some of the movie I really like, and I remember going back and watching it after the fact multiple times, and I definitely like it a lot more now than I did like when I saw it opening weekend, because I think my expectations were just like unattainable, because I just wanted everything from that movie. Like the whole, like all these third killer theories that had been going around. Like I've believed since 1996 that there's been a third killer. Yeah. And I was hoping that would kind of fall into this film, which would just blow my mind. And, you know, it didn't happen. So I don't know. I do really like Scream 4. It just it took some time to grow on me, though.
I don't know. I just remember when I was watching it just being like, okay, it felt like a Scream movie. The only thing that seemed a little strange to me was bringing back so many characters from the earlier movies and not killing any of them off. Just
Agreed.
The law of horror films seems like it should be if you bring back 3 originals that one of them should die. And maybe Courtney Cox should be that person. I don't know.
And those that argue that, as friends of mine have, it's like, oh, well, by not killing them, it's breaking the rules again.
Yeah,
and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, right.
Whatever.
Just bring Randy Meeks back somehow.
Yeah, somehow bring him back from the dead. They brought him back in the third one, or with the video, or
it's like the only use
one.
of Jamie Kennedy that isn't annoying. Just let him be Randy Meeks.
That's it.
You know. Well, I'll go with a person that. I mean, it's over the course of a couple of movies. In the first film, this character is kind of like almost like the male ingenue. He's the character who is the most innocent seeming of the group of people that this horrible thing happens to, and it's almost like a twist on the survivor girl. He seems like the one least equipped to deal with what's going on in this remote cabin, and he's the survivor at the end. But then the second film takes a totally different turn for the absurd and the slapstick, but it still keeps its horror roots. Of course, I'm talking about Ashley James Ash Williams, played by Bruce Campbell. This, to me, was the most obvious choice, because this was, and a friend of mine I was talking with about this, kind of conferring about my list, he said the standard should be, when is the good guy actually as interesting as the bad guy, you know? And I do think that this is maybe the case can be made that Ash is, I mean, you watch these movies to see Ash, admittedly to see him get tortured and knocked around and cut his own hand off and all that kind of stuff, but the evolution of the character, I mean, it's rather silly and absurd, but the fact that he goes from a guy who's just pushed to the absolute limit at the end of the events of the first film, and then the kind of events that are recapped at the second film at the beginning, and then they go into this other place where it's just sheer madness. And I think that, you have to give Bruce Campbell credit as an actor for having every item on the set crashed on top of his head or thrown at him. Yeah. But just what the character goes through and the kind of madness that he experiences. There's this scene in the middle of the movie where he's in the middle of the cabin, and the bookshelves are laughing at him, and the stuffed the taxidermy deer head on the wall is laughing at him, and he starts doing this weird little dance, bobbing up and down and laughing along with it. And he just it's another one of those brain broken moments. But I just remember when I first saw that film I was in high school, and I remember I used to watch it. Literally, I think we would watch it every day after school in high school for like about a semester. I mean, and we would just rope different people in and say, come watch this movie, because it was the craziest thing we'd ever seen. I read somewhere where Bruce Campbell said that Ash is a bad, slow thinker, but a good, fast thinker. And I think that is an interesting read on the character. And he also said he's incompetent at everything except fighting the evil dead. And I do think it's like they kept it, it's hard to say that that's like the most grounded character in the world, but if you remember how he was in the first movie and what he did in the second one, it does seem like it's such a perfect evolution of what the actor wanted to do and what the producers wanted to do and what the director was interested in. And it was this shared love of like weird Three Stooges style slapstick, which I don't even like Three Stooges or anything, but I appreciate that these guys brought that into this horror vein and still kept the scares reasonably scary, but went off into this direction that you can call campy, or you can call it comedy, or you can call, but whatever you call it, it's its own thing, and it was the first thing I'd ever seen that tried to do so much. And I think Ash as a character really embodies what's great about those films. I don't know that the character really makes as much sense. I think Army of Darkness is a really entertaining movie. I don't hold it quite as high as I do the second film. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that in that movie, Ash is almost a little bit more of a cartoon, like a misogynist cartoon action hero character, which is funny, but not as just visceral as what he did in the second movie. But definitely got to give it to Ash.
Ash. Oh, it's my turn. Oh, goodness. All right, so this movie I didn't see until I was like 17 or 18, and I really thought that it was, I don't know, I like older horror films, and I actually played the video game before I saw the movie, and then I saw the movie. I was like, oh, okay, this is incredible. And that was the thing.
You son of a bitch.
Okay, so the thing.
You son of a bitch.
The thing was the first. Well, okay, so Alien. If you talk about Alien and reacting to environments and aliens and stuff like that, Kurt Russell's character, RJ.
RJ McCready, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think we both had him on our lists. Is
Ronald.
Yeah.
I know. So
you picked. So we all had Ripley and McCready on our list.
Yes.
Effing
Wow.
crazy. All right.
That means a lot.
Yeah. It did something with lighting. Like the first part of the movie, it's like bright, and then it gets dark, and then it gets fucking crazy. Mm-hmm. There's something about the first time that they see this alien, and then everything's like, ah! Also, the volume of the movie just changes. Mm-hmm. It goes from like, that's why I like Alien a lot. The kind of casual, the dynamic that all the friends had, I felt the same way about The Thing. And then when it gets crazy, the volume of the movie just raises, and the aliens are loud, and they're loud, and they're screaming and shooting, and then it just gets fucking bonkers. And there's something about when it starts and then it doesn't stop for the rest of the movie. I love that about it. And it makes you appreciate, there was a love that went into horror films then. Like that, it's an art. It's an art. And I think that it got lost somehow. Like there's an art that got lost in whatever it is now. It's like if you were to describe something to somebody and they just take away the shitty, like the things that make it the most exciting, the blood, the guts, and you miss what makes a horror film a horror film. It's the build up, it's the story, it's the tone,
the characters in that film,
the characters,
like every one of those character actors, like within a few lines, you feel like you know who those characters are.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kurt Russell is just awesome in that.
It's just something about seeing
Keith David also.
Yeah, yes, and Keith David, incredible. Seeing all of them kind of interact with each other, and then have all the aliens sort of break everything up the way they did. And I like movies that kind of have a scene and then it disappears, and the other set of people where they get killed, and then I love.
Well, that movie also is a mystery. Like that, you can find clips online of people like analyzing who might have been replaced and when it would have happened. Because if you watch that movie the first time, you just accept, as you said, just the kind of cascading action.
Yeah.
But if you go back and try to piece together how it spread and who was real and who was fake, and it's there. I mean, I think it's all there, but I think it's set up to be a mystery. It's really set up to be a mystery.
Yeah.
This is like a Carpenter love fest. I love this. But seriously, like John Carpenter was he's in retirement seemingly now, but like he was an auteur. I mean, he had his hand in every aspect of those movies, from the music to the sort of feel to the way that he worked with those actors. I think he was on fire when he made The Thing. The Thing might be it's got to be one of my favorite Carpenter films, and he's one of my favorite directors just because of he had that period where every year he was putting something out, and it was it was crazy, very prolific, and yeah, that movie. One of the things that makes it great is the escalating sense of what the fuck are we dealing with?
It's
and I think there's even a few lines where one of them says like, "What the hell is that?" And you just feel it. He's just like right when you want to say it. And I love that it's like that age of everything's latex effects and all these weird scurrying puppety things, and it's a little bit campy looking,
the
but
dog
it's
scene
still so weird.
still fucks with me. The cage. I was like, what is going on? And it just kept getting crazier and crazier and crazier. There's something beautiful about that movie, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's something
It's great.
gorgeous about it. Like, it looks good.
I think beyond just the movie, like all the love for the movie, I think Kurt Russell's performance as McCready is what makes me love him as a character. I think that guy who would he wouldn't hesitate to kill you if it meant saving himself, but he also would never throw you under the bus.
Well, you see right there at the beginning,
what I mean?
he doesn't hesitate to pour whiskey all over a computer if he loses at computer chess.
Right.
Right from the beginning, this guy, he's impulsive. Yeah, I mean, I actually, in the category I had him as the category that I call the right person for the right moment, or I've got this.
Yeah.
Which is just like, you have these guys who really, I mean, they don't, he didn't have to learn, he seemingly was a tough badass from the beginning, you know what I mean? He just was waiting, all right, let's deal with this. But all those guys in that movie are so crusty, and they're up in this weird, harsh environment, and they seem to be sort of getting along, but you feel like it's just a lot of strong personalities. I think about Wilford Brimley a lot too, and that, and I also Richard Dysart playing the doctor when he's doing the defibrillator on the guy, and the chest cavity opens up.
They don't even actors like that don't even exist anymore. Facially, like there's something about.
Well, you certainly wouldn't cast a bunch of 50-ish looking guys in a horror movie that you were hoping to have a big opening now.
Sure.
You wouldn't do that. Like, even when they did the reboot, remake, whatever that thing was, everything was kind of aged down from the characters in the original film. And I actually, when some friends and I saw that remake, we went back and watched the original thing, or the thing from 1982, the Carpenter thing. And it was crazy how much that we had this sense in our minds of wow, the characters it just didn't feel, not only was it not the same, but it didn't feel like it had that same, whatever, that life, that spark that the Carpenter thing had. And then when we went back and watched it, it was within seconds, it was oh yeah, it was it had none of this sense of character and sense of everyone felt interchangeable. It was just a bunch of guys with beards and goggles out in the snow.
Are they gonna? What I'm wondering is, I wonder if this is a time-based thing. The people that we grew up watching, Tom Cruise's and George Clooney's and all those people are getting older.
Yeah.
And are they gonna be in movies that are kind of like this anymore?
Well, Kurt Russell was young, or you mean as far as the Wilford Brimley type role and stuff?
I'm wondering. This is the first.
Could you ever assemble a murderer's row of those guys and have them all just get picked off in a crazy horror film? Ocean's 14.
We experienced the superstars. We were the generation that experienced those people. And those people are getting older. Is everybody gonna be young and not so talented, or are they gonna be I can't figure out if this change is the best thing ever. I love the place that a lot of the actors that I really like Great Gatsby was a pretty solid movie, and Jamie Foxx is getting older. These actors are 35, 40, and that's old in the acting years.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? So
and they're all playing a little younger, but you're right, they're all kind of hitting that point.
They're all hitting that point, and I'm wondering if the quality of acting is going to decline, or if these people are going to take on these incredible roles where they're in stuff like this, taking chances on horror.
You mean horror?
Yeah,
all those guys were character actors, so it would be. I think that what you're probably going to see is some of those guys are going to acknowledge their age and play to that, and other guys are going to live in denial of it and keep dyeing their hair, and then eventually you've got
the Al Pacinos of the world.
Al Pacino, yeah.
I hope that Brad Pitt doesn't become Al Pacino.
Never.
I don't think he will.
Brad knows better.
He does, but I hope
he listened to the episode about Al Pacino.
Don't you think a lot of guys? Don't you think a lot of guys hit 60 though, and they start going? It is. If I'm gonna start dyeing my hair, now's the time. They. I think it does happen. Michael Douglas looks like he's had some work done recently.
Oh, yeah.
Just a bit.
Yeah, a whole.
I like
new
people
chin placed in there.
People that embrace their age, like Malcolm McDowell. His face is it has some
He has an old face.
character to it. It has some character to it. It's like
No, I know
you
what
see
you're
him,
saying.
you're like, man, he doesn't look like he did in A Clockwork Orange. He looks different, and it's a very expressive face. He's embraced his age, and
He's also embraced like being in whatever movie has a paycheck associated with it.
that's true, man.
Let's be honest.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
There's a reason.
We had that
And
conversation before too.
there's a reason why his Dr. Loomis is not the one that
I
was
like
mentioned.
exactly, but it's not. It's not even
Exactly.
close. It's not even close. So I don't know.
But great pick, McCready's. I love Kurt Russell, and it's probably, I mean,
Kurt Russell's
maybe one other character that might rival it, but I think that's my favorite.
Who, Jack Burton?
Actually, no, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I love that character.
Yeah.
I kind of love him in Tombstone.
Okay, yeah, no,
Oh,
there's
wow.
nothing wrong with
Yeah.
Wyatt Earp. Oh
Yeah.
my God, he was like the epitome of cool to me in my exposure to westerns as a kid. I mean, I was like, what? But yeah, I love the thing.
No, he was good in that. Tombstone.
So with that being said, I'm gonna pull my Audible or call my Audible, and I'm gonna just round out my tripod, if you will, of the final girls. And I'm gonna
Interesting choice of word that you're a tripod for these final girls. What's Steve been doing while watching these movies lately?
I've just been watching movies, you know.
Okay.
You got something to say, John? You're like, you went for the mic.
Oh
and had-
no! Oh, okay, I'm wondering who you're gonna pick now. I'm like,
Okay, so I'm gonna give. I'll give my last vote to another formative horror movie in my younger years, and this is a second vote for Mr. Wes Craven, and this is with A Nightmare on Elm Street,
oh,
and I'm gonna give it to Nancy Thompson, and here's my reason why I have her on the list. In my exposure to horror films, like I mentioned about Laurie, she just kind of survived the night that the boogeyman came home, or that Michael came home, and Sydney is the modern version of the final girl, mixing elements of Laurie Strode and Nancy Thompson. But the key thing that I remember about Nancy's character in Nightmare on Elm Street is she was the one that basically decided that the only way to survive was to actually go after Freddy Krueger. She's the one who figured out, in this horror logic, the only way to beat him was to bring him into our world, because in his world he was basically undefeatable. So she's the one that basically goes after him, pulls him into the real world, has all these MacGyver-esque booby traps in the house. These badass traps. MacGyver-esque.
Oh, I like MacGyver-esque. I like MacGyver-esque.
MacGyver-esque.
Yeah, MacGyver-esque.
Guy-esque.
But I like MacGyver-esque too.
That works too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because like in terms of her character in the film, like her mom's an alcoholic, her dad is a useless cop, her boyfriend bites it way early in the film. Awesome death scene in the bed, Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
But she's the one that figures out how to beat Freddy Krueger, and she does. I mean, the ending of that film is kind of it leaves it up in the air whether she actually did or not. But I believe she did in that film.
And the ending of that film, correct me if I'm wrong, has like an inflatable person pulled through a window.
Through a window, a little like peep, like a small ass window in the front door of the house on Elm Street.
Nancy.
Oh yeah, man, I love that night.
That was the only one where he was really, maybe in the second one
Scary.
too, but the first two were the only ones where he was played straight. And
Yeah.
the first one he was terrifying.
Absolutely.
And Heather Langenkamp, is that the
Langenkamp,
actress's name? She danced around my list a bit too. Just because of what you said, the strength of that character and how she sort of, it's the old familiar thing of the unlikely person kind of turning the situation around. But yeah, they actually had to figure out. I mean, this was, when you first saw that movie, I don't know about you, when I was a kid and I saw that movie, that notion freaked me the fuck out.
Oh, dude.
That something was,
ruined
that my dreams were real.
yeah.
I mean, like,
That still freaks me out. Have you ever had like a nightmare that you can't really get out of?
Oh yeah.
Like what? I can't.
There's a
wake
name
up
for that
like
where you like your mind wakes up but your body's not awake
Yeah,
yet. And
that's
usually what happens
terrifying.
is it feeds into whatever you were feeling in the dream. So if in the dream you were standing up, you can kind of wake up and feel like you're standing up but can't move.
Wow.
And you can like look down. Have you ever had that though, that sleep
Oh,
paralysis
yes.
where for a
Yes,
split
I have.
second then you wake up and you kind of either then you fall back fully asleep or your body kind of wakes up.
Yeah.
But when you first wake up and you can't move, it's like it's the weirdest sense and it always ties in with whatever you were dreaming.
Yeah.
And it's like that moment in the dream where you want to run but you can't run,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a terrible feeling.
Yeah, that movie. Yeah, you're right though, John. You kind of got it perfect there. Like the first one is where he's like really scary, and then it kind of plays it for laughs a little bit in the sequels. But yeah, Nancy Thompson, super cute, kind of bookworm, cute girl, whatever. But she figures it out. I mean, she kind of uses her brain, the mind brain, and survives, but also beats him.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. And that was like one of my first times seeing a female lead or just a horror hero in terms of and she shows up in one of the sequels she shows up in a sequel as Nancy, and then in Wes Craven's New Nightmare as Heather Langenkamp, which is actually a really good sequel in my opinion.
It's actually an interesting movie. Yeah.
But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street, Nancy Thompson, in the voice that you said it in.
Yeah.
Nancy.
You have to. It has to be like. Like, I do think when he started making the puns and stuff, it's like, I think at the time I was still into that character, but it's easy to see the change between this is a horror film and this is a movie for fans of Freddy.
Sure.
Exactly. In the first movie, you're really supposed to see him as repulsive and scary, and they kind of then they realize
Freddy's Dead was probably like the height of like that. Like I was like, man, what is this at this point? Like video game? I was like, man, this
I mean, you could argue, right?
He like went to a weird place. It's like, man, what is this movie? So,
did anybody see the remake? I didn't.
No, and I still want.
Not good.
Really?
Very disappointing.
I really wanted to see it.
Freddy looks like an alien. Like
that's what I kept hearing.
Like some of the shots, I think close-up shots, I think they actually have makeup, prosthetics, and things like that. But a lot of the action shots are like CGI faced.
Why would they do that?
He looks like it. Watch it. He looks like an alien, and I was excited because I like Jackie Earle Haley, and he played Freddy. Yeah. And some of what they did with his character, and like more with like the child.
I heard about that. Like
stuff, was really disturbing. When that could have been like kind of cool if the movie wasn't kind of weak. I mean, I will say that I like it because it's Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'm always up for a remake, as we've discussed. But definitely a letdown. I compare it to like the Texas Chainsaw remake, which I love. Dawn of the Dead remake, I love. And then, the Friday the 13th, Halloween, they've grown on me. The Nightmare on Elm Street one kind of falls in the same.
I love the Halloween one.
It's grown on me, though. I didn't love it when I first saw it.
Oh, man, I love it.
And I've seen it multiple times, and it's grown on me. But the Nightmare on Elm Street one is definitely...
No.
It's the movie that Rooney Mara, like, doesn't acknowledge. Now that she's like a legitimate like star, she's like doesn't ever like people. I remember reading interviews like when she was in like Girl with Dragon Tattoo and doesn't talk about Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, wow.
But she's like the lead. She's like the lead character. She's Nancy, but she doesn't want anything to do with it.
Oh, wow.
But yeah,
really, I wonder why.
I want to see it though.
Watch it. Tell me what you think of Alien Freddy.
So were they just trying to make it like more realistic or graphic, like makeup, like his features are kind of burned off, or?
I think so. I think, I don't know. I don't have an answer because it definitely was weak sauce.
That whole thing with like Freddy possibly being like the reason why he got killed was like molestery sort of. That was always like a thing though. That was always like a theory.
No, that was always the fact. I mean, that was
in the movie, but like it never. I don't think it ever really kind of went as went as far into explaining it and like seeing the characters actually have it explained to them through their dreams as in this remake, which is actually done kind of really kind of cool and it's kind of creepy, but it just I could not. I was so bothered by
his face
and his voice. The voice. Dude, it sucked. It really sucked.
It's crazy how tweaking a couple things could have made it. Because I keep hearing those things about it. Like if his face looked more like I don't know. I don't understand why they have to change things like that. They're like, we have to change the way his face looks. I've never understood stuff like that.
I can see them saying, let's make it more, like I said, let's make it more gruesome and kind of more realistic to what a burn victim would look like, but
that looks very CGI.
It is CGI.
Yeah,
but it's just horrible. Like it like the eyes are really like ovally like slanted in towards the nose, like an alien.
Oh,
and I don't know. It's disappointing. But Nancy in the original,
cool
go-to gal.
Well, there seems to be a theme, survival girls. I'm going to do some serious walkering on this category, but I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, please don't. Oh,
I don't think I'm going to.
I knew it had to happen.
I'm not going to walker you out of house and home on this one, Ronald. I don't think. But if I do, I'm really sorry to anybody.
No, it's fine.
Because on this list, this was my back to my sort of my little categories that I kind of like to work with. This was my outmatched but improvising category, and I tried to think of somebody who would fit that. And one of the obvious ones that came to me, I considered Shelley Duvall as Wendy Torrance in The Shining. I had Jamie Lee Curtis as a possibility on this. That role. I didn't want to get into the Ty West debate on this podcast, so Jocelyn Donahue as Samantha in House of the Devil. I'm not gonna go any further than to say I thought she was great in that performance, but we don't need a Ty West debate in this conversation, Steve, because I kept coming back to Liv Tyler as Kristen McKay in The Strangers.
Okay.
Oh, wow. That's a great one.
Because she sort of acts the way I think I would act in that situation. Yeah. I mean, I think that she's desperate and she gives into the fear, but she finds this kind of inner strength. And I think that it's almost like a deceptive thing that even within the movie you would see her. I mean, she does a lot of crying, she's kind of cowering, but you see that she is thinking and she is kind of constantly moving. And she's the character who goes through the most harrowing kind of transformation as far as the tone of the film. I was going to be cute and say both of them because I think as a couple, what makes that movie interesting is that first half hour really does plunge you into their world and their life, and it was like characters I cared about before the shit hit the fan. But I just think being that person, if you were in this house and you were by yourself and your significant other has just left on one of those late night errands that someone goes on when they want to get away from you and you want to, everyone needs some time, and so you're kind of feeling guilty, and then to have all this awful stuff happen. And it's all about sort of how they never really got to find that moment of peace together that they were expecting to have that night. Mm-hmm. And her character just having the guilt that she was feeling on top of what she goes through. I just always think about that movie as one of the... I mean, we've talked about it, I think, a couple times before on this podcast, but I just think of it as one of the genuinely, traumatizing experiences I've had with this type of film in the theater in recent years, where I was actually hunched down in the middle of a relatively, if not totally empty theater, except for myself, in the middle of an afternoon watching this movie. And I remember just feeling like someone was going to sneak up behind me and cut my throat, because so much of the movie is all about them kind of being toyed with. Right. And I think that as much as that plot is sort of gets flaccid about 2/3 in, and it really is just, okay, we know they're being toyed with, so it kind of gets dragged out. I think that Liv Tyler's character keeps thinking, and even with very limited options, she keeps looking at ways to better her situation. And even though the movie would keep indicating the odds are against this character really escaping this, it's great to see a character keep trying to survive. So
cool.
Liv Tyler.
Mine is a female survivor. There's something pretty amazing about the way things used to be in terms of acquiring movies. Like, you would have to go out and look for something. Everything wasn't handed to you on one site. You had to find some shit. I remember it was 2004 and I kept hearing about this movie and I didn't know anything about it. My friend kept saying, see it. I think it's called Good Intentions. I think that's the name of it, right? So I looked up Good Intentions. That was not the name of it. Then I found out that the movie was French. Still couldn't find the movie.
Oh, okay.
Then I found the movie. I couldn't find it on DVD. On a DVD that wasn't French, so I downloaded it. It had French subtitles, and I watched it with my friend in the dark. And boy, did it fuck with me. It was High Tension. High Tension is one...
Haute Tension.
Haute Tension.
No, it's one of those movies that you watch and you realize why people don't like a certain type of horror film that's not. So there's two types of horror films that really exist in terms of this extreme level of gore. They're the ones that kind of turn the camera when it happens, and they're the ones that show it. And this was one of those that showed it, but kept the camera on for longer than it should have. And something, it was, every scene was like that, jarring and scary. And the female lead, what's her name? Maria. There's something very scary about a situation where, well, the difference between like any of the other movies like Alien or any of the, like Nightmare on Elm Street, is that there are other people involved. From the beginning of this movie, it was just her in this situation, watching people getting annihilated. Mm-hmm. And this movie was incredible to me from start to finish. And every time I watch it, I still feel that High Tension. It was literally named because it was super high in sort of suspense, and you didn't know what was going to happen. And when the guy who was chasing her around touched something, he destroyed it. It wasn't like somebody half got away. He would rip a limb off. He would behead somebody. That's what I loved about it. And she had to kind of... The scenes were done so well, and the twist is so cool that when I watched it, I felt like, man, maybe I should watch this one more time, and I did. Mm-hmm. So, High Tension, man, changed my life. That's actually... So, you don't know this, and I may not have ever said this to you, but you're the sole reason why I've watched horror films after a certain period of time. And that's a really nice thing.
Well, thanks, man.
But High Tension was one of the movies that I saw in a period that I didn't like horror films. Mm-hmm. And you talking about horror films, I kind of was like, man, maybe I can find another High Tension. Sure. And I have since found good movies that
That's awesome.
So.
Well, Alexandra Aja or Aja or Aya or Aja, let's say
that
Aja.
Works.
Alexandra Aja, who directed that, also directed a few other movies. I mean, he's kind of fallen off a little bit, but he had a run there for a while of pretty
decent movies,
pretty interesting, like just well crafted movies.
Yeah, and this didn't feel like. It's those things, like you watch those like gratuitous violence that's just for no reason, and then you watch a movie like this and it feels very intentional. It's not like, oh, this person got the head cut off for no reason. Oh, this person got thrown through a window, and it feels like this person's kind of honing in on this girl, and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse, and it goes from like a very broad field like sort of situation until this tight situation, and it gets worse and worse, and I love that about
and one of the coolest like horror movie reveals also.
Oh man, yeah. One of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah,
one of the best reveals I've ever seen in a movie, period, honestly. So, High Tension, good
pick. So this is my last one, right?
It's your last one.
We're on our last round.
Yep.
Well, since Ripley and since McCready have already been picked, I'm on a list right now where I'm like, I don't know what to do, so I'm gonna go bananas right now. I'm going to throw out my B movie, one of my all-time favorite B movie, horror movie heroes. Mm-hmm. And that is Ray Cameron from Night of the Creeps. I don't know if anybody out there listening has ever seen Night of the Creeps.
Yes.
I've never seen this movie.
Yes, it's great.
It is just, I don't know. I watched this movie so many times as a kid. It's basically kind of like mixes elements of a zombie film with slashers and alien invasions. It's got a nice little mashup of all the types of horror genres that I love. Very tongue-in-cheek, basically, the sorority and the geeky guys, and he falls in love with a girl, and he's the hero of the film. Mm-hmm. But that's not my hero.
Yeah.
My hero is played by was it Tom Atkins, Detective Ray Cameron.
Yes.
One of the most underappreciated horror movie heroes of all time, I think. He's a badass. He doesn't give a shit about anything. You think he could probably take his own life at any moment in the film. He's so depressed from things that happened to him in his past that relate to what's going on. But best of all, he has his own catchphrase. Thrill me.
Oh my God.
That's like he answers the phone, thrill me. He shoots the zombie at the end before he fires the gun, thrill me. He lights the fucking building on fire. With a cigarette he pulls out and throws it on the gasoline. He's going, thrill me. It's just like you wait for it and you're like, oh, you just said it. Those bastards are dying. But yeah, they re-released the film like a few years ago on like a special edition DVD like in 2009 or something, 2010. And it had all these cool behind the scenes. And Tom Atkins, like he was in a few other films that I remember. Like he was in like the horrible Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. But
that's right.
I just remember him as Ray Cameron from Night of the Creeps. If you haven't seen Night of the Creeps and enjoy kind of like the Slither.
You didn't like it?
I did, but it's just like Slither. Like what those things were.
It's gross. It's really
so
gross. But I think that the tone of it, though, is Night of the Creeps definitely has a similar kind of... It's gross, it's creepy, it's got a certain amount of like...
It's silly.
The things that happen to people are awful, but it's also silly. Yeah.
It's like The Stuff. Did you ever see It was like The Stuff?
Yeah.
You ever see The Stuff?
It's similar to that. I mean, but this is much more much more campier.
And also kind of more of a zombie. Like it's like another. Oh, here's a different way of arriving at zombies.
Right,
Cool.
exactly. Like it's a different. It's
not
starting point.
radioactive sludge that got dumped near the cemetery, or it's not whatever the different. It's weird that the most zombie movies just skip the reason.
Yeah.
For a while there they would always be like a radio. You'd hear about there was an asteroid that crashed nearby, and then everybody would start.
Yeah,
going
there's
back
like
to
in this movie, like I said, it has like aliens, it has zombies.
Yeah.
As a different, it all comes from a point. But there's a slasher walking around with an axe, like that.
Mm-hmm.
That is in essence a zombie. But it just has so many funny parts, and there's like a little like this Asian janitor in the film who like. He keeps saying something like, "They're screaming like banshees," and he says it over and over again. And anytime, like I remember that quote as a kid. I say like banshees all the time in life, and it always goes back to Night of the Creeps and that janitor. It's got like the wheelchair bound like best friend who can't, or he's on crutches and he can't walk, but like when he gets taken over by it, like he walks and he's got that sentimental moment where he leaves the message for his friend saying like, "I walked again, man. I walked again." And you hear him like take his own life.
Oh,
It's like creepy, but it's sappy, but it's so bad. But I mean, Night of the Creeps, probably my favorite B horror film of all time.
Yeah.
And the detective, man, Ray Cameron,
Night of the Creeps.
thrill me. There it is. I'm glad I got to throw him in there. So thank you, Ronald, for picking my other two.
No problem.
That's like it's his groovy. If Ash has got
absolutely.
groovy.
That's it.
And Freddie's got Nancy. Then yeah, then you've got Thrill Me. Who directed that? I feel like it's a name that I'm supposed to be.
Night of the Creeps.
Man, you got me.
There's a freeze warning going on right now.
What?
What the hell?
Fred Decker.
Yes. Who did Monster Squad?
Oh my God, Monster Squad.
Yeah.
Love Monster Squad.
I don't remember too much.
It's
about
all like the classic Universal monsters, like
Yeah.
Okay.
that come these kids and
Wolfman's got nards.
Was a Savage in that movie?
a savage.
Like Ben Savage or no?
No.
Maybe,
I don't think so.
I think it would have predated any of the Savage Bros.
Okay, got you.
Savage Bros. Well, I have to say that as we've gone along, this list has gotten crazy because once you start throwing in your audibles and your alternates, you start thinking, am I ending on something that is not my favorite? That's not my top choice in this case. But I'm going to go ahead and throw a little appreciation just because we're on the Alexandra Aja train here. I'm going to throw a little appreciation to Aaron Stanford as Doug Bukowski from the Hills Have Eyes remake. I think that this character, when I saw this film, stuck with me because it's a great, it's in a lot of ways that movie is kind of paint by numbers and it's like elevated B-movie material because Alexander Aja, as you saw with High Tension, he's able to take, just by the craft of his filmmaking, he's able to take subject matter that might seem kind of, pedestrian and kind of turn it into something a little more artful. Like a lot of what made High Tension great was the way it was shot and the way it was put together. And the Hills Have Eyes remake, which spawned a terrible sequel, and is itself a remake of Wes Craven. His track record is very spotty in a lot of ways, but he's made a lot of kind of important films. But the one thing that they did with this movie that I thought was interesting as a remake was they kind of spun it out, and they did a good job of that. Let's update this idea for modern audiences and keep it creepy. Because what happens to the family that gets lost in the desert in this film is truly awful. Like what happens to everybody is truly terrible. But Doug Bukowski, the character played by Aaron Stanford, who was also, I believe, in X-Men United, was that the name of the second one? He plays a character who's set up at the beginning to be they even make a point of the fact that he's like a pacifist. He's kind of like a liberal. He's supposed to be kind of like a wimp. And he's positioned against his father-in-law, who is played by Ted Levine, who's Big Bob in this. And he's red meat eating American man, and he's out there and he's dealing with his son-in-law who he thinks is a pussy, and it's all about when it comes down to it, and the mutants have attacked and they've done every awful thing to this family that they can do. The only person who can go into hell essentially and save his infant daughter is the pussy, the liberal wimp from the beginning of the movie. And so there's his infant daughter. there is a point in the movie where his character sort of makes the choice to man up and I just remember that transformation. And what follows is a series of attacks and fights that just push. If you had an action hero in this role, it would be like, oh, this guy's got a tough row to hoe going up against these crazy cannibalistic mutants. And they have the series of mutants that he comes into contact with get increasingly more disgusting and kind of like evil. Like, it's definitely that whole thing of like, well, they're so messed up physically that they have to be evil. Nobody who looks like that could be nice, you know.
Right.
And they do have a couple. I guess there's one little mutant girl who, despite being ugly, does have a good soul. But all these, they're just the nastiest villains that you can imagine, and what they do is so wretched. And you know they're up against such odds, but you know that you've got to go in and if you save the baby, you got to, especially if it's your baby. So seeing him realize that he's the only person that can go in, it's kind of like it's the final guy version of the final girl. It's the person who's least equipped to handle this awful situation going in and having to show some mettle. And I think like the last third of that movie is really just him coming up against these crazy, disgusting mutant characters. And it's hard to point to that movie and say, yes, a remake of a horror film called The Hills Have Eyes that's about cannibalistic mutants, that it would actually be an artfully made movie. But when you know that Aja is the director behind it, it's got a really nice visual sense. And I think he just, similar to the way that Brian Bertino, the director of Strangers, is just able to use the frame and the shot composition in such a way to create this sense of dread. I think it courses through this movie. And, I haven't seen it really since I first saw it, but it has always stuck with me, and particularly that character of Doug Bukowski, just that the guy who's pushed too far, and I don't know that I would be able to do what he does in this movie.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I love that. I think that remake's great.
Yeah,
the all the scenes in the trailer, like when they first come. Oh my god.
Yeah. Woo. Brutal.
Yeah, absolutely brutal. What do you got, Ron?
Mine is
Bring it home.
A bit of a wild card. Foreign movie, because I love my movies.
Surprise.
I love my movies foreign, and I especially love them Swedish. So the movie, is it Swedish? It might be Swedish. Okay, so this movie, I saw
You love them Swedish? And then, wait a minute, my whole premise could be flawed.
Right.
It's actually Canadian.
Yeah.
It's Canadian?
No, I don't know.
We don't know what movie we're going to talk about.
Okay, so this person is a hero, but also the villain at the same time, because once she comes into this apartment complex, she wreaks havoc. Let the right one in.
Yeah.
So she's a hero because she was basically with this kid whose life was pretty miserable before she met him. And then once they kind of came into each other's lives, they helped each other a lot. That is the hero element, and I guess the villain element is her just destroying everything around her, except for him.
Well, does anybody have any also rans that they just have to get out there?
I would say I had Chief Martin Brody from Jaws. I didn't really include it because everybody was giving me shit about Jaws not being a horror movie. So I firmly believe that it is, but I didn't include it.
That movie shook up the world. It was. I feel like it was a horror.
And the other like kind of genre-wise gray area, I had Clarice Starling from Silence of the Lambs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
It's probably the smartest hero in a horror movie. Not only hunting down a serial killer, but also having the guts to basically work with and stand up to a greater villain in terms of a partner. I love that dynamic with her and Anthony Hopkins. I think she's one of a standout for sure, especially just among female lead characters of any genre. But those were really the only two. Everybody else I had got mentioned: Loomis, Ripley, and you guys, mentioned them. That's all I really had.
I had Alison Lohman as bank loan officer Christine Brown in Drag Me to Hell.
Drag Me to Hell.
I had Zelda Rubinstein as Tangina Barons from Poltergeist.
Okay.
So yeah, she was very good. And I also had Griffin Dunn as Jack Goodman in An American Werewolf in London. He's a character that kind of serves the purpose of being like that spirit guide or expert, that what he's telling David that needs to happen is something that has to happen in that movie. He's telling him basically that, you're a werewolf now and you're going to hurt all these people and you have to die. So that's an interesting thing to have your friend telling you.
So
And then I also had the whole Freeling family from Poltergeist. That was another thing I briefly considered. I think Craig T. Nelson and Jo Beth Williams, the pain that they go through with their little girl being gone and everything that they kind of suffer as a family. I think that movie really holds up as one of the few movies from that era that when I see it scares me in the same way it did when I was a little kid, because it's all about the scary tree outside the window or the what's under the bed or the clown across the room. And I think those things never stop being scary, no matter how old you get. And one more that I think is, for me, as you were saying, Steve, kind of a genre twist, whether this is a horror movie or not, but I had Matthew McConaughey as Fenton Meeks in Frailty.
Oh man.
which is a movie that I felt like saying too much. I had this one written down as just too spoilery. Like you can't really talk about who his character
Frailty was good.
Can't really talk about who his character is and what he's doing in that movie without giving away the thriller aspect of it. But I think, Bill Paxton, who knew, wrote, he didn't write, but Bill Paxton starred in this movie and directed it. And it's such a really assured piece of genre storytelling that when you get to the end, it's the reveal really turns it into, it's a really neat kind of supernatural. It's almost like a story about a weird superhero who's got this weird gift, and you see how they accept it. So yeah, Frailty's
that's
great
one of those
film.
movies where you're like, man, what does he have to do? What do they want to do?
Yeah.
It gets crazier and crazier. I really like that movie.
But it's a great one where you feel as it ends, like the pieces are falling into place. It's like it's a good twist movie where it's satisfying as the pieces are falling into place to replay the movie and to you feel like the movie wasn't just playing games with you and being smarter than you. It actually is a reveal that kind of deepens the movie. So you started off the right way, Ronald. These are characters that you like to see somebody who's kind of pushed up against the wall. You like to see somebody who's doing. You hope you never have to go through that stuff. And it's great to find someone to identify with in these movies who's you can sort of. I do think it serves the purpose. This kind of getting scared, it does serve the purpose of something that, we don't have predators chasing us all the time. We don't have all these things in our daily life. Now, apparently you did have a scary incident where it was a Craigslist incident and you were worried you were going to get jumped going down there to get a television. But in general in life, we don't have these moments where we feel like we're about to get jumped. So, I think there is something about these characters that you love because of what you've seen them go through.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those are horror film heroes.
You just put a bookend on it.
Oh. As always.
You're going to end it like that? Just throw it out
I have one little bit of business that I wanted to throw out, which is that, and because we're on this topic, it seems like a good time to bring this up. I just on a lark last year, I recorded a song about Dr. Loomis.
Really?
I was using it as like an analogy for if you had a friend who you thought went a little too far sometimes and needed to kind of be held in check, and you were tired of their shit, but you were still trying to be gentle with them. Mm-hmm. I sort of assume, what if that was the way Dr. Loomis feels about Michael Myers? That he's got this attitude of like, Michael, come on, again, all these people. So I wrote this song in that vein. That I thought we might use as our outro music today, if that's all right.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to, I've sort of accepted a challenge from some people, and I want to throw it out there to all the Movie Schmovie listeners, which is that when I posted recently, because it was October again, I reposted my Dr. Loomis song, and some people, some friends, sort of started challenging me to write other songs about movies. So at the moment, I'm doing a close reading of the film Crawl, to see if I can write a song about that, and I don't know, I haven't found my angle yet, but I was going to throw it out there to the listeners. If anybody wants to suggest the subject, a movie that you'd like to see someone write a song about, send it in. I don't know, hit our Facebook page. What are the various ways they can get in touch with us, Steve?
Movieschmovie@gmail.com.
That's one way to do it.
Facebook.com/movieschmovie.
See, there you go.
Twitter.com/schmovie.
Yep.
That's our call. There's plenty of ways. And there's always movieschmovie.net, which no one goes to.
Yeah, right. We don't even go to it. Yeah, so if anyone's hearing this and they have a movie that were like, I'd like for someone to write a synthesizer-based novelty song about that movie. I wonder if anyone could do it for me. Well, I'm your man. I can't promise how quickly it will happen, but I'm accepting assignments. I'll take the
Definitely
challenge.
By the time they remake that film, John will have a song for it.
Guaranteed.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm excited to actually hear it. I mean, I listened to it when you posted it, but as our outro, that'll be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, man, awesome. It was another horror. This is our third one, which is crazy, right, Ronald?
Right.
I mean, craziness. We'll have to get a good idea for next year. Maybe there'll be a good angle we can come. I'm sure John will come up with one.
I'm working on it now.
The horror movies are heroes that they were, and hopefully maybe... I'll say this right now. I'm always excited for a new great horror film. Me too. I love the idea of the possibility that there might be a movie coming out, soon that maybe there's a character that might make the list. I feel like the girl from Your Next almost made my list.
I almost put her on my list,
and I think that's really cool that a movie can still come out and have somebody that's either badass enough or smart enough or a combination of whatever quality it takes to survive or even not survive. Like Ronald was kind of getting at before we started, but I love the genre and I love talking about it, and it's awesome to kind of go over some of the the heroes that make you root for them. It was good times.
Yeah, definitely.
But everybody have a happy Halloween.
Absolutely.
Safe and happy Halloween.
So safe.
Be careful if you're getting candy from strangers. As always, check your candy before
Might
you
have
eat
ecstasy in it.
It might have a variety of not good things.
When I was a kid, they used to talk about that all the time, like stickers that had ecstasy on them, or like it'd go through your skin. That was crazy, man. I remember that. It made me not want to touch stickers for a very long time.
And that was a tough time because back then stickers were like the thing.
Stickers were huge.
Oilies and fuzzies,
right.
all those really cool. Anne Frank stickers? Not Anne Frank.
Anne Frank.
Who made them? Paul Frank? Who made? Was that her brother?
Paul Frank. I think Paul Frank. Not Anne
the brother.
Frank.
I think it had Anne in it, didn't it?
Your copy of Diary of Anne Frank didn't come with a sticker, Ronald?
It did actually. It had a sticker in it.
Give it out.
It came with like a sticker and like this really old gum, this dry, crumbly gum.
But yeah, okay. So that was good. And that was that happened.
Ronald, Steve just kind of did what you normally do at the end of the podcast.
I figured I'd give you the night off, Ronald. You seem like you needed it. How stressed out you were about your TV.
Oh yeah.
From the shady character, but you're welcome, buddy. You know what? In that case, you're my horror movie hero.
Oh, thanks.
Going through with your Craigslist trade.
Yep.
Very risky stuff.
I could have died.
Very risky. And
I could have died to death. That's the crazy part about it.
Dying to death is the worst dying way.
You're telling me.
You could have got jumped.
Yeah, he could have tried to snatch my dick off.
And there it went.
Yeah.
You got it back. Came through at the end.
As always, you've made our day.
Thanks, guys.